leader, if you have a leader, and you are going to be a leader, okay, if we are not mindful, then what we will find that people we work with become exhausted, emotional, you know, maybe they're ringing sick a little bit more, maybe they turn up to work a little bit later, not bother, try and finish early because they can't be in that environment. If you have a mindful leader, well then, you know, work-life balance, it feels better. You're not under pressure all the time. A good leader means that there's better job satisfaction, not just for you, but for people around you as well. Our performance in our job, if we are mindful, not mindful, okay, if we are compassionate and caring, well then our performance is much, much better. So again, think back to that Francis report. Think back to that culture in that trust. There was not a lot of people that were mindful of others, what was going on, how it was impacting on patient care. One of the biggest criticisms was the leadership. You know, the leadership was absolutely appalling. They were too busy focusing on wanting to get foundation trust status than they were on patients being given a drink at regular intervals. So you can see how, you know, a lack of leadership and mindful leadership, you know, it's like tentacles, it ripples outwards. If you are mindful, what you can do is actually disconnect yourself from that bedlam, that chaos, and be more objective. Okay? When we're under threat, and I don't mean physically being threatened by someone, although, you know, that can happen. When we're under threat, if we are mindful and self-aware and compassionate, we actually can take a step and be objective and think, okay, well, what do I need to do? How can I resolve the situation and maintain standards? Whereas, if you're not mindful, you will just slip into default. So I know, you know, we have to as nurses self-reflect and be self-aware. I know that when I'm incredibly stressed and under pressure, I will swear a lot and be irritable and sharp and cutting. I know that, I'm aware of that. So when I'm really, really stressed, because I have that self-awareness and I'm mindful of that, I can see when I'm starting to get a little bit snappy. So I need to give myself a bit of, right, I need to step back, I need to have a break, I need to just go and have a walk around the block because I've marked 16 papers today and I've had enough. Rather than defaulting to, okay? So what that means is I am mindful of behaviours and patterns and experiences that I can default to really, really easy, rather than having that, right, I need to just have a break, I need to go and do something nice. Why is this desirable in practice? Well, it's desirable because we don't ever want to work in an environment like Mid Staffordshire or Edenfield at GMMH. We want to work in environments that help us flourish and grow and develop and learn, and where we can be the best version of ourselves, where we can support and care and educate and, you know, be a really good nurse. Does anyone come into nursing to be a crap nurse? No. Do you want to be mediocre? No, you shouldn't. Why do you not want to be the best nurse possible? And to do that, you need to be compassionate, not just to patients but to yourself. You need to be mindful of patterns of behaviour, of stressors. You need to be aware that you need to be a good leader. But you also need to be aware that you should work in an environment where there is good leadership as well, because that will make you thrive. So, you're not doing practice, so this isn't really that relevant to you. But it's about thinking along the lines of when you move into that next stage of your careers, how are you going to keep compassionate? What are you going to do? Are you going to walk away from here today and go, well, that was mildly interesting, put it to one side, forget all about it? Fine by me. I get paid either way. But what I want you to do is think, going forward, how are you going to remain compassionate? How are you going to be caring? Bless you. How are you going to avoid being one of those nurses that ends up on panorama, swearing at patients, not providing care, being abusive physically, verbally? Are you going to be that person that other people talk about? Oh my God, I'm on duty with that nurse. Oh, she's awful, awful, awful. How are you going to make sure that you're not that person? It's something that you need to reflect on. It's something that you need to think about, and it's something that you need to develop behaviours now to make sure that you are self-caring. Because we've recognised we have to give a lot to be nurses. We have to give a hell of a lot. However, we need to be mindful that it's not at our own expense. So these slides should be on your Moodle site?
It's not.
It's not?
No.
Okay. Who's the module leader? Is it Stuart Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will get these for you. So they will go to the nursing. You've got to be able to speak confidently in public. You've got to be able to share information. You've got to be able to talk to families. You've got to be able to present in multidisciplinary team meetings. You may have to go and present evidence at a coroner's inquiry. Okay, so you need to feel comfortable with speaking publicly. Okay? So, we would all like to be this: calm, serene, comfortable in speaking in public. What happens though a lot of the time is this, oh my God.
Yeah.
That still happens to me now. There are still times when I feel,
Yeah.
okay. Sometimes this is how I am on the outside, but that's what's going on the inside. So what I want to help try and do is, some people already feel confident publicly speaking, okay? And that's really good. Some people don't. Who's filled with dread thinking about this presentation you've got to do? Or do people feel, no, I can do it, I can speak out, it'll be fine? So no one's saying, I'm struggling, I'm worried about it. How would you feel if I said to you, we're going to change your presentations, okay, we're going to change your vivas, and you're not just presenting to an assessor, you are going to present your viva or your presentation to the School of Nursing. Different prospect, isn't it? That's not what we're doing, by the way. So before you, that's not what we're doing. So why do we get this, that we get worried. It's because of fear. So there is a sense of fear that what's the worst that could happen? What are you fearful of? Failure? What does failure look like? So what would happen when you're doing your presentation, or whether you're doing a handover to other nurses or talking to conflict?
Yeah.
So where would the conflict come
Like
from?
sometimes they say, oh, you didn't do this, or you should have done this way, but everybody's got their own way to do it. They want to do, oh, I want to start from there. The other person say, no, I want to start from there. Something like that. So they said, somebody said, no, this is the right way. We have to do this way. So something like that.
So there's a fear that
fear
perhaps
that you will fall out.
There'll be an argument, you'll be challenged, you
Yeah.
won't know what to say. Yeah? Anything else? Has anyone heard of imposter syndrome? So imposter syndrome is where that you're more than capable to do something, yet in your own mind you think, I'm not good enough to do this. I'm not clever enough. I can't do this. So you think you're in the wrong place. It shouldn't be me doing this. So that's where fear can come from. Fear can come from, for some people, don't like being watched or looked at or being the centre of something. Fear get judged.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Yeah, because that can happen. You know, am I clever enough to deliver this presentation? Am I good enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I thin enough? We're all very critical of ourselves, aren't we? So it might be that you've had a previous bad experience. It might be that your experience, like you described, you've gone to say something, you've been challenged, or it's not gone well. I remember going to speak at a conference and I had a really heavy cold, and you know, one of those really tickly coughs, and did nothing but cough excuse me, until someone gave me some water, and it was awful. It really made me think, I can't do this again, because it really knocked my confidence. You don't want to look like you're incompetent. You don't want to look like an imposter. So think about your presentation. You know, the anxiety possibly will come from the fact that you're being asked to do something that you've not done before. So there's a fear there potentially that, what if I get it wrong? What if, you know, I fail? What if I look stupid in front of my assessor? It might be that you've had no previous experience of giving a presentation or speaking out in front of people. It could be that you're not prepared. So I'm getting a real sense, listening to your conversations, that you seem as though you're quite prepared and on this. I'm not getting a sense that you're not doing anything. Oh, it's in June, it's 26th of June, we'll get round to it. You know, people are talking about meeting up, and when should we meet up? And sorry, I was just talking about the presentation. Confidence is a real issue. When do we feel the most confident?
When we are prepared enough.
When we're prepared, but also when we're doing something that we know inside and out. We could feel self-conscious. Okay. Sometimes people have pre-existing or underlying mental health conditions. So someone with an anxiety disorder, if they're asked to deliver a presentation, actually that is a big ask. Some people might have a speech impairment. They might have a stutter or a stammer.